Welcome, District 3 Toastmasters, to the second of 4 presentations in our Membership Buster series. We're happy to have you all here with us tonight. Tonight, we're going to have a panel on how to handle guests. Our panelists this evening are Vidya Prasanth, Barb Schumacher, Dom Kroger, and Sandy Zalaki. The format of this is going to be that I will be asking a question which our 4 panelists will answer. And I will be asking them 3 questions. At the end of that time, there will be time for a question and answer period. Our panelists will be giving a 1 to 2 minute answer to our questions. So yes, this is just going to be kind of an extended table topics. So we'll go ahead and get started right away. Our first question is, how do you greet guests? And Dom, do you want to start with that particular question?
Absolutely. I would love to answer that question. How do we greet guests? In fact, I'm a member of a couple of different clubs, and we handle it differently in the 3 clubs that I'm a member of. For Town Lake Toastmasters, we make sure that we welcome the guests and have them individually introduce themselves and let us know kind of what brought them to Toastmasters and possibly what they are looking to get out of it. In Epicurean Toastmasters, because it is a little bit of a different format, it is a little bit more easygoing. So we do still ask them to introduce themselves, and they tell us usually who brought them and get just a little bit of feedback from them as well. So that's really the essentials of what we do when we greet guests. I think it's just really important to make them feel welcome and ensure that they are getting all the information that they need as well. So.
All right. Thank you. Vidya.
Thank you, Mike. How do we greet guests? So this has been a confusion because we have been doing online meetings, and then previously we have been doing offline meetings, and now we are doing hybrid meetings. So things change, scenarios change. And if it is an online meeting, the only way that we can greet guests is after you start the meeting, the presiding officer or the Toastmaster asking the guests to introduce themselves. But now we are slowly moving to hybrid meetings, and we are starting to get guests in person. And that's when we have to do more things rather than how we do it in online meetings. In hybrid meetings, if they come in person, the guest needs to be welcomed even before the meeting starts. They have to be made comfortable. We will give them a membership kit or a small folder which has a lot of information about Toastmasters and all the other things. The membership VP sits them, talks them about why they are here and everything, even before the meeting, so that they're comfortable. They understand that today they don't have to participate. If they don't want to feel comfortable, you don't have to answer anything. Just stay there and watch what's happening. And once they finish the meeting, that's when we ask for feedback. And of course, we let them know that, come next week, we will meet again. So this is how in hybrid meetings, if they are coming in person, we would like to make them feel welcome and not pressurize them into doing some speech or making them uncomfortable. So this is how we deal with it.
Okay, thank you. Sandy.
There's nobody out there.
Most of the meetings that I do are online meetings. I'm the VP of membership for Yavapai College Toastmasters this year, and I usually will get an email saying this person is interested. So the first thing I do is I email them back, say thanks for your interest in Toastmasters. This is the link that you need to get into the meeting. This is the meeting time. We will welcome you warmly, and then after that, either they come or they don't come. Usually they come, and we try to make them very welcome. Everyone greets them. Either I or the president ask, why are you there? What are you trying to accomplish? And then we will let them decide whether they want to be a part of table topics or not. And then at the end of the meeting, we'll ask them, did they enjoy the meeting, what they thought of it, and would they like to come back?
Excellent. Thank you, Sandy. Barbara, you get the last word for this question.
Thank you for the question and the opportunity to be here. How members are treated, or rather how guests are treated, is actually very important. You want them to feel comfortable. You want them to feel at home and at ease. It's important to get their name and use their name when you are talking with them during the course of the meeting. We usually ask a person to tell us who they are, how they found us, and give us 20 seconds or so to say how they happen to find our particular club and what their goals are. We also do table topics. We ask our members one or possibly two questions, and then the third question always goes to the guest with the opportunity to play or participate in table topics by answering a question if he's comfortable doing that. And then at the end of the meeting, again using their name, because their name is important, we ask them to give a few words, 20 or 30 seconds or so, to say what they thought of the meeting. Definitely tell them they are welcome to come back, and that we will give them some literature to take home and look over, and please consider joining the meeting. So we don't give them the pathways lecture, I shouldn't say lecture, the pathways information at that point, because it usually takes about 30 to 45 minutes to go through pathways completely. Once they have joined, then we have people assigned to break that down, and we schedule meetings with them so that they know. Now, this is all great on Zoom, but if it's a hybrid meeting, or when we go back to in-person meetings only, and they come in the room, they're usually not coming in late. They come in early, so we can gather all that information before the meeting starts, give the name to the Toastmaster who can publicly welcome them to the entire group at that time. And we always have someone sit with them so that as each functionary does his job, we can explain quietly to the person sitting next to us what it is that's going on. Can't do that in a Zoom meeting. Things are definitely different, but that's how we manage to do this most of the time, and we always get their contact information. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Barbara. Our next question is one of my favorites. What is the biggest mistake a club can make when a guest visits? Sandy, we're going to start with you this time.
I think there are a lot of mistakes that a club can make when they have visitors. The first one is not making them feel welcome, not acknowledging that they're there, not explaining what's going on in the club meetings. I've noticed that there are some clubs that don't explain what the roles are. You need to explain what the roles are so people understand it. Then the next thing they need to do is make sure that they feel comfortable in the meeting, and ask them a little bit about themselves. Let them explain a little bit about themselves, why they're there, why they did, how they got to your club, why they're visiting. And I think the other thing that's very important is you've got to follow up right away. Most of what I do is on Zoom. So when the meeting is over, I ask them, do they want to chat with me for a few minutes after the meeting? And then I get their email and I try to send them right away a guest packet, which has information on Toastmasters, general information on what it can do for you, and a membership application. And I ask them ask them right away if they want to fill it out. So I think if you follow up quickly, if you let them lag and say, hey, it's up to you to decide whether you want to join or fill this out. Say it's up to you to decide, but we leave the decision totally in their hands and just say, it's up to you. Do you want to join? We have to sell them on it and say, are you ready to join now? and then walk them through the process of joining the club.
All right. Excellent. Thank you. Barbara.
The biggest mistake I think that a club can make is ignoring them. And that is a bigger mistake than not getting their contact information. The reason is because you want them to feel comfortable and welcome in the group that they just walked into. They probably don't know anyone there. And you want to make their defense mechanisms come down. You want them to feel at ease, participate if possible, and so forth. To me, that is the biggest thing. The contact information is definitely important, and it's important to recognize them throughout the meeting, as in table topics. What do they think about the end of the meeting, at the end of the meeting, and so forth. I would give them the membership application and ask them if they would like to join when the time feels right. You can definitely invite them back for a second meeting at no charge, with no obligation, and when they begin to open up and talk to you, that's the time to give them the opportunity to join. But I would never say it's up to you, because that immediately opens the door for them to say no thanks and walk away. You want to close the sale. You want to sell them on the idea of what Toastmasters can do for them based upon what they said when they stated their goals. The biggest mistake is ignoring them. Mike.
Thank you very much, Barbara. Got to remember to unmute myself. Dom, what's your idea?
Yes, thank you. I agree with everything that's been shared already, to be honest. I think those are really great suggestions. I agree that ignoring them is a huge mistake. I think not getting contact information is a huge mistake. And I really believe that not making them feel welcome and being able to relate well to them is something that will cause them to not come back. Being very open, explaining details of the club, of the different opportunities that they have, and even possibly having somebody just share a little bit about what Toastmasters has done for them and how they have kind of grown, makes it even more relatable so that they can really see how their goals are going to be able to be met. So I feel like there is a lot of things that can be mistakes, but I really feel like just not being a relatable club and making them feel welcome is a big mistake. And then, of course, just not following up and doing that in a timely fashion is also a big mistake. So I think, again, like what's already been stated, there are plenty of things that we can do wrong, but I think it's really important that we are able to make them feel welcome and relatable to what Toastmasters has available for them.
All righty, thank you very much. Vidya.
Thank you, Mike. This isn't exactly a mistake that we do when we try to invite guests, but this is one of the rules that one of my corporate clubs had previously. What they would do is they will never speak about money or membership, till the second meeting. So they will let them go, and they'll ask them to come back another meeting, trying to test whether they're really interested in Toastmasters. At sometimes in corporate clubs, you would be forced by a manager to go to Toastmasters. And people who are forced to do so will not be able to continue this journey after like 4 months or 5 months or whenever the renewal period comes. So what we do is we would like to test out their real interest in Toastmasters. So we would say, we will definitely talk about all those things, but we invite you for the next meeting. Once you come there, we will talk about all the membership and everything. So that kind of makes sure that we get quality members and really interested members, and they stay in forever or like for a very long period of time. So that is one of the rules that we had in one of our old corporate clubs. It is not a mistake, but a lot of clubs that we have in Phoenix, Arizona, I've seen people joining. Coming in as a guest and joining the same meeting, that is good as well, because they're really, really, really interested. For people like me, 10 years ago, the first thing that I went in a Toastmaster meeting and asked, like, how do I join? I didn't care about how the meeting works. I wanted to join because my other friend was in Toastmasters. I had a FOMO moment and I didn't want to miss it. So I went in and joined directly. So people are there like that, but we always tell them that, okay, come and take it in slow, understand why you are here, and then join. So this is not a mistake, but this is one of the recommendations that we used to have in one of our clubs. Thank you, Mike.
Excellent. Thank you very much. For our last question before we start the question and answer period, what does your club do for follow-up? In other words, after the guest has come, you've gotten their information. What do you do for follow-up? And Vijay, I'm going to have you go ahead and start this round.
Thank you, Mike. Follow-ups are really, really important, and I tell all my VP memberships because I used to be my VP PR most of the times in my club, and it's really an opportunity for me to be a bridge between the membership team and the guest. So what I would always tell them is always follow up with an email, and if they have spoken that day, and I have pictures of them, I would love to share that and say, hey, you did an amazing job on the stage. This was amazing, and we wish you come back again and do this. So this has a very personal touch in following up, rather than, hey, how are you? It was good seeing you in the last meeting. So this is a very personal way of doing it. Or even if better, if you know about the topic that they spoke and what they spoke, if the secretary has taken notes, if that note can help you make it more personalized, that email will be the email that will make you a new member. So personal email is very good. And if there are rules that we set, like, if they have not replied or haven't responded back for a week or two, then we again send an email saying, hey, this is so and so from club, and are you really interested in coming back and seeing another meeting? We hope this will be a different experience.
Hey,
And that's one way of doing it. Making sure all our emails are done correctly. And there are at times where members leave, and for some circumstances they were busy with their work or something. So we try to reach out once in 6 months, asking old members if they want to come back. We are doing different stuff than what we did before, and they really want to join back. So every time Platinum does that, we do really get our old members coming back. 1 or 2 people, not many will respond, but 1 or 2 people will definitely come back and join our club. So this is what we have been doing in Platinum Toastmasters.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Vijay. Sandy.
Well, follow-up is very important. The first thing that I do is I send them an email saying, thanks for being a part of the club. Thanks for joining us. We really enjoyed you. And I try to remember or write down why they wanted to be there. And then I reiterate to them how Toastmasters can help them with the thing that they've got that they need help with, the reason why they want to be in Toastmasters. And then I'll usually ask them, have you looked at the membership form yet? Have you looked at the information that I emailed you? Can I get together with you sometime? Let's chat on the phone and answer your questions, and let's get you started. If that doesn't work, usually what I try to do is keep them on my email list for 6 months or so and email them periodically and say, are you still interested in Toastmasters? Please come back. Here's the Zoom link. We'd like to see you back again. Are we having a special guest speaker? Would you like to hear this speaker? Please come back. Here's the Zoom link. We would love to see you again and help you to achieve your goals. I think following up is an important thing that you really have to do with anything, but with Toastmasters, it's the same thing.
Great. Thank you, Sandy. Barbara.
All members of your Toastmaster Club are responsible for making that guest feel welcome, and we share the responsibility of inviting people into our club and trying to get new members. That's the game right there, trying to get new members. But we don't like the hard sell like a New York salesman. And if there's anyone here from New York, I apologize. I'm not picking on you, but the hard sale does not work. The soft sale usually does. And if you make someone comfortable, that's great. Our secretary writes a recap of what happened during the meeting, after each meeting, and we make sure that that recap goes to that guest who came so that they know what's happening. One of my clubs had a guest who said she liked the club a lot, but she never came back. And the secretary continued to send a recap every week for many weeks afterwards. And she finally responded saying, I have not been able to be there, but I have so enjoyed reading all about what happened in the club where I met all of you, and I will join. So don't give up, because it does work. We also ask, what is your preference of communication? Would you prefer an email or a text? And that's what we use, because not everyone wants that email and not everyone wants that text. I would also point out that picking up the phone and saying hello is a nice personal touch to contact these people, and there's nothing more powerful than the handwritten note and put in an envelope and snail mail it. When they get that envelope in the mail, that's a nice treat, and they have a warm fuzzy. Mike.
Mike, you're muted.
Thank you, Mike.
I've got to stop doing that. Thank you very much, Barbara. Tom, you get the last word for this question.
Thank you very much, Mike. So I think there are plenty of different ways that you can do follow-up, and I like what everybody has mentioned so far. For us, what we do is we make sure that we provide them with membership information. We also let them know how they can get back in touch with us. So we provide them with our contact information. We send them to our website, our Free Toast Host website, so they can kind of see what's going on, any special events. They can look at our calendar, which is usually updated. They can see all of the other members that are there, as well as the people that are the officers. I think that really kind of helps them to kind of understand more about what the club is offering and like how active they are. That way they are able to see the special events that are coming up. And if they haven't joined by the time the special events come up, then we are able to send additional follow-up emails to invite them to those special events, whether it be an open house or special guest speakers. That is usually done by the vice president of membership after they've left. But obviously, whether it's an in-person meeting or a virtual meeting, it's really important that you stick around after the meeting to continue that conversation with them, to tell them that they did a good job, to let them know the goals that they have and how we can meet them. Again, it's just reiterating everything that you said pretty much at the beginning and just confirming with them that this is the place that they want to be and here are the reasons why. And then if they do leave without signing up that day, which is fine, you have the ability to follow up with them and encourage them even more to attend again. And it doesn't always have to be as a member right away. Like, come back, enjoy the meeting, experience it, get to know the people, see if it's something that's a really good fit. Most of the time when that happens, they definitely come back around. Then if they still haven't joined and it's been a few months, as the president, it's something that I think is really important for them to take a step at and make sure that they are doing some follow-up, whether it's a phone call, like what has been mentioned before, or even a personal email, letting them know why you feel that it's important for them to be there and how you remember them from that meeting. Obviously, that does require you to take some additional notes, but I do feel like just making them feel welcome and special will help you to have them come back. Thank you, Mike.
Unmute. Thank you very much, Tom. All part of the Zoom fun. Since we are a little bit ahead of our time here, I'm going to go ahead and throw out a fourth question for our panelists. I had only sent them 3, but hey, why not? Fourth question is, do you have a guest packet, and what is in your guest packet? And is the guest packet also available electronically? Barbara, we'll start with you for this one.
That's a great question. We had an open house in January. 4 guests came. 3 were very much interested in joining our club. Only one person left the gift package behind and then told me the next day that this was not something she wanted to do. It wasn't what she thought it was. But I have a list in there of the functions in our club, what the Toastmaster does, what the counter does, and so forth. We have a little brochure from World Headquarters in there saying, find your voice. We have one on leadership, and we have one on all about Toastmasters. And of course, we have the agenda so that people can see what happened that night when they're rethinking their visit later. We follow up. We make sure that they have our contact information, just as Dom said, so that we can connect with each other often and whenever there's a question or a concern. Mike.
Mute. Fantastic. Dom.
Yes, for the membership package, that has changed over the years from when we were in person to being online, and transferring a lot of that information over to a virtual format was definitely something that was a little bit difficult for us. So it took us a little while to kind of get into the groove of it, but our membership package does have a membership application. The Toastmaster Promise is actually printed out for them, so they are aware of kind of what we are all about and why it's important. There is a picture or a printout of the different pathways, so that when it does come time for them to have information about that, they have that in front of them, so they know kind of what is there and what they may be interested in. And then in the past, when there was in-hand packets, we did a letter. But now, because it is virtual, we have the email instead of a letter that acts kind of as the opening information. And along with that, obviously, would be contact information, a list of the officers, and then a way for them to get back in touch with us. So thank you, Mike.
Excellent. Thank you. Vidya.
Thank you, Mike. We do not do guest packets for online meetings. Purely for a reason that everybody is using computer a lot. Coming on to a meeting with the video on is already a trouble for a lot of people. They have to get ready, and then they have to be camera ready, and then be here. They would have been doing a lot of camera meetings or like video meetings for a long time. So what we do is we explain them after the meeting that this is what Toastmasters is with the available resources that we have. But we do not send the guest package, because if we send it after the meeting, it would be lost anyway in an email. So we don't do that. But in-person meeting is something that we definitely have a guest packet, and they will have it before the meeting starts. And even if they don't know what to do before the meeting for that 10 minutes, they don't have to speak to anybody. They can just sit and look at the guest packet and understand what Toastmasters is. That's the reason why we were giving guest packets, just to make them comfortable in that 10 minutes of silence that they have before the meeting. But I think in online Toastmasters meeting, like everybody is like talking something before the meeting, and then they get to listen to it. Nobody's like, you need to talk, and like that's how it works. So we don't force them with a guest packet in an online meeting, but in hybrid meetings, yes, we do have a lot of materials about the club, the Toastmasters, and the pathways, and everything that is related to Toastmasters in a nutshell. So yeah, that is it.
Excellent. Thank you, Vidya. Sandy?
Well, everything we do is online. We had guest packets, but I can't even remember what was in them. So for the online one, we have a brochure called Find Your Voice, How to Unlock Your Potential. And then we have another one that's about the benefits of Toastmasters. It's called Build a Better You. And then we also have one that explains a little bit about pathways. And then we put a membership application in it. So that's what we do for offline, and then I will write them an email giving them the information about basically how to contact me as a VP of membership if they're interested in joining, and give them a little bit about how Toastmasters has helped me and how it can help them. That's what I do.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Sandy. That completes the panel discussion portion of this. We will now open it for a question and answer period. We do have a couple of guests here. If our guests wish to have a question, if you just use the raise hand function in Zoom, then I will call on you. You can ask your question, and any of our panelists or all of our panelists can answer your questions. And Jim.
Got my hand up.
Go ahead.
Okay. So thank you all for your wonderful feedback. So I have a dilemma because I'm hearing some of you are really, to me, it seems like when the guest comes and on the very first meeting, you talk about membership fees. Okay. All right. I know. But to me, that's a little bit frightening. And I just wanted to share that. That's me personally. But I liked what Barbara was talking about. She was talking about a hard sell versus a soft sell. I'm more of the soft sell type of salesman because there's different types of salespeople out there. And so I tend to like, this is my style. I would say, of course, asking the guest for feedback and, would you come back? And if they say yes, I'll make sure I get their contact information. And I do everything you guys all talk about, the follow-up, the email. But I don't talk about membership fees. Maybe I should, but I'm thinking about, but I've seen from my experience that when we've had guests, sometimes when in the past being a little bit too pushy, then they don't come. I lose that. So I don't know. I think it's a individual club by club case, but how do you? Based on what I've heard, a lot of you like video. Boy, you guys are really strong. And so, have you had a case where the guest doesn't come back? They only come once, then they don't come back. What do you do? Can you share or talk a little bit about that? Anyone can talk about that.
Any of our panelists or all of our panelists want to answer that, just raise your hand and
Hello.
go ahead, Vijay.
Most of the times, Jim, the conversion ratio is always very poor. Like you have 10 guests, the maximum that you can convert is, 2 or 3. If that is a open house, that's the case. Like, maximum of 2 or 3 will be your members. We do all the fun there. We give them gift cards. We do, gift pickings and everything. Even after winning those gift pickings like Toastmaster goodies and everything, the guests won't turn up. The most of the times the conversion ratio is poor. But online meetings, they are interested. They want to do something, and they find our club and then they come in. So the best sell is be yourself in the club. A lot of people like our club because we are fun, we are diverse, and we respect each other, and we finish it on time. Most of the guests' feedback is like that. So if they come, if they find themselves, there's a Toastmaster club like this, and then come and watch our meeting, it is definitely a sell. They won't go back without thinking about the membership. But in a meeting like open house, you bring in a lot of friends, a lot of family, and the conversion ratio is always poor, and we can't do anything about it because we don't want to force anybody to do Toastmasters. Right. This is not like we have targets set and we have to get 10 members no matter what. But we want to get members, but we wanted to get interested members. So this is one case. I have a counter question to Jim here as well. I've been a part of club where I've seen guests come in for like 10, 12 meetings and still be guests, take table topics. Every meeting, you try to use our members' time and try to use members are paying, of course, but they want to talk on table topics. But the guest comes every meeting just to speak table topics because it's free. How do you tackle this kind of situation? This is an opposite situation, which actually happened in one of my old clubs.
Wonderful question. It's great. I've experienced that in the past. So yes, I've been Toastmasters over 16 years and I've seen that. So the way I handle it is if this was in person, I haven't seen that happen online, but in person, I've had experienced it where a guy kept coming every week. And so after about 2 months, 3 months, I would talk to him after the meeting. I would pull him to the side, say, hey, please stay after. I'd like to chit chat with you. And I'll say, hey, I noticed you've been just coming, participating in tabletops, and you're just taking up our members' time. So then at that time, I put them on the spot. I say, now you have to make a decision whether or not to join. If you don't join, then you really shouldn't be coming to take up our club members' time. So I do say that. So that is the way. And then when I do that, then they stop coming. And it's so funny. I want to share this with you. So this club, Cosmopolitan, I'm a member of 2 clubs that I chartered down here in Tucson. This club's at the U of A, University of Arizona. And it's more of the I'll call the younger crowd. Everybody's younger. I'm the old person. My wife says, Jim, they're kids. You're an old man. And I go, well, they make me feel young. Okay. The young kids, they have a different motive because they're students. They don't want to spend the money. I know that. The kids, they just want to see if they could take advantage of anything for free. But I found out that a lot of these guys, they're there to scope out. And I know that. They're just scoping out and trying to meet I'll just call scoping. So, and I don't want that because everybody joins clubs for different reasons. And then, of course, my other Toastmasters club is an older crowd. And I'm the youngest one. You can imagine that. And it's funny where, but they're all professionals and very, very well respected. So, so that's what I would say to you, Vidya. You need to set that person, pull them aside and say, you've been attending 2-3 months now. It's time to make a decision to join. So great question.
Good. Do any of our other panelists want to jump into this? Yeah, go ahead, Barbara.
The first club that I ever joined is a breakfast club that is still ongoing. They offered a free breakfast with your visit, and you could come back for a second visit and get another free breakfast. But that was it. I joined immediately because I knew that I loved that club. And I've watched other people do that as well. I stayed with that club for over 12 years. But the deal was they had already set a limit. And that, granted, this was long before COVID. And so people were meeting in person only. And they came, they got their breakfast. They usually came back, had a second breakfast, and joined that day, but not always. We don't have that problem on Zoom. They just don't come.
Okay. Any of our other, Tom?
I can answer it. Yeah. So we don't necessarily talk about the financial piece of joining at the first meeting. And I think the reason why we don't do that is because that can change. So say they come to the very first meeting and they're not able to join for another month. Well, the amount of money that they have to pay to join can be different. And we don't necessarily talk about money because sometimes two of the clubs that I'm a member of are in a position where we are currently waiving the actual club dues. And so that is a different amount of money as well. So I feel like that is something that needs to be more of a one-on-one type conversation with that individual person. And I think that by having that conversation with them one-on-one, it allows for you again to develop that relationship with them, to kind of get to know them a little bit better, to have that one-on-one time with them. If you do it right at the beginning, in the middle with everybody, I think it can cause some uncomfortability that we just don't want. I would prefer for them to feel comfortable. I'm not saying it's a taboo thing to talk about, because if they ask about how much it actually costs, then I think that that's totally fine to give them that information, but make it more of an approximate amount. But I also like what you said about the individual who just kind of comes and mooches off the club per se. That is exactly how I would handle it as well, is to have that conversation with them to the side after they've been attending for a while. Because again, if they want to get the full effect of Toastmasters and really what Toastmasters has to offer, they need to join and take part in some of those other roles, as well as achieve the educational goals, because you can only get so much out of answering table topics questions. So I hope that answers that question.
Sandy, do you want to say something on this?
I do. I'd like to talk about the money issue and how you make them feel comfortable. We had a VP of membership for a while that wouldn't ever ask them to come back or anything like that. She'd just say, okay, see you later. It's up to you if you want to come back again. She'd get no follow-up information. She wouldn't do any follow-up with them, and she expected them to just come back. Well, I kind of got into it with her about that, and she felt like I was attacking her. So I think the way to handle it is you have to do it with each person on an individual basis. Some people they're pumped and they're ready to join right away, and you have to ask them, though, are you ready to join? You can't just expect them to come out and say it. If they're not ready to join, I usually will try to but they're interested, I'll try to do a follow-up Zoom meeting with them or something. And then we talk about what their interest is. First, you get them engaged in what they want to do, what they want to accomplish, what are their goals. And then after that, you can talk about, well, this is really inexpensive. For less than $100 a year, you can achieve all of that. And usually you get them then. But you can't just say, okay, see you later, bye-bye, come back when you want to. That's not going to work. You have to do like Barb said, you have to do a soft sell on them. It doesn't work just to let them go, because usually they won't come back.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sandy. I can tell you in my 28 years in Toastmasters, I've had the opposite problem, what I call 60-second Toastmasters. They come to a meeting, they're all excited, they fill out the application, they pay for it, and you never see them again. It's probably been 40 plus times that I have seen that happen. I can't understand it at all. David Hopper, you had your hand up to ask a question.
Yes, so my question was kind of on the line of Jim's. I've seen a lot of guests that will come to Toastmasters meetings and they are excited and they'll sign up for an icebreaker. They want to sign up for the icebreaker even though they're not a member. And I've seen some clubs basically go, no, you can't sign up for a speech because you're not a member and we won't allow it. And you can almost see them deflate in terms of like their energy. Do you allow guests to speak at your meetings? I've also seen, people come and say, I have a toast for a wedding and I like to practice, something like that. Would you allow them as speaker slot at your meetings, or how do you feel about that?
You're mute.
I've been doing that all night. Who wants to start with that one? Any of you?
I can. This is a great question, and I think it can be handled a couple of different ways, to be completely honest. And it really just depends on your club and the type of, it could just be handled different ways. So what I'll say is we do sometimes allow people to come in and give speeches off the cuff if they're practicing for something. We are supported by the company that I work for. And so there are a lot of people that hear about us and want to practice a presentation that they have to give for work prior to having to give that presentation. So if they reach out to us in advance and let us know that this is something that they're trying to accomplish, they really need some feedback. Are they hitting the mark with what they're sharing? If they do it in advance of when they need to share it, and we have the flexibility in our agenda to accommodate that, then yes, we will let them do that. I don't think we've ever had anybody say, I want to do an icebreaker right away. But I also feel like if that's something that they are interested in, then we could definitely figure out a way to make that happen to where it's not intruding on the other members giving their speeches. So I think it can be a balance of figuring out how to make it work to where they feel comfortable and still welcome and not deflated, but also not take away from the members and the members' time. Is it something that we do on a consistent basis? No, obviously it's not, because we want to allow for our members to achieve their goals. But sometimes we are flexible and will help other people, especially ones that are trying to do a presentation for work that need some specific feedback. We will let them present to the club.
All right. Thank you very much. Vijay, I saw you shaking your head. No, go ahead.
It is a strict no, Mike, because the new member who's trying to give a speech, the guest who's trying to give a speech will not understand what Toastmasters is in the first place, will not understand the how the icebreaker is done, how it should be done. And if we give an evaluation for that, the next meeting he won't be there, because that's how evaluations are. And he needs to understand Toastmasters first. And only then, after being a member, I think that's fair for all the members, other members, that, they've paid their money, they are waiting for a slot, and then we give a guest a slot. That's unfair to members. There is another scenario where I have seen kids from Gavel clubs. So Gavel club is for people who are below 18. So the parents are there in Toastmasters and the kids are in Gavel clubs. Parents usually used to bring the kids to Toastmasters meeting, and letting the most of the times they call upon a table topic speaker. There would be one kid volunteering, I want to speak, and they would come on and speak very amazingly well. And there are two scenarios here. One scenario is the kid's confidence gets a boost because he's talking in front of all other senior Toastmasters. But on the other side, people, Toastmasters who's fresh in Toastmasters, they will feel bad because the kid is overdoing it, and it's not the place for the kid to come and do it. And they have Gavel clubs for that. The kid can come and observe a Toastmasters club, but making a kid speak in a Toastmasters club is, again, even though he's a member of Toastmasters through a Gavel club, that's not good, because we are not doing justice to our members. They have paid their own money. They don't want a kid to come and shatter their confidence. So these are the two scenarios that I see, making a guest speak and also a Gavel club member speak in a club.
Okay. Thank you, Vijay. Barb.
May I please make a comment regarding what Dom said?
Go ahead.
She's talking about a corporate club. There's water cooler conversations. The person who asks, may I come practice a speech that I have to present at work, has already heard about Toastmasters, and allowing a member of her corporation to speak, even though she is not an official member of the club, is outstanding goodwill. Kudos to you, Dom. And for other clubs that are community clubs, if the circumstances are comparable to what Dom just said, I say go for it. I think that's awesome.
Great. Sandy, did you want to say anything on this?
I don't think I've really ran into that situation where somebody wanted to give a practice of speech. So I can't speak to that really.
Okay. And I'll actually give an answer on that as well. I belong to 2 low membership clubs. We struggle to get the 8 to renew each time so clubs can stay alive. We are growing, but just very slowly. Anybody who wants to speak at any time can get a slot in any one of our meetings. Show up, we'll let you speak. And that's how we're getting our members, is allowing people to do that. Jim, you wanted to make a comment on this?
Yes. So I'd like to comment on what Don, Barb, and basically everybody's responses. To answer David's question, so I think it all depends on the situation on each club. And I understand where Vidya is coming from as well. But if you have a club, like you said, Mike said, it's a low membership club and you're having difficulty getting speakers. But what I've seen at one of my clubs, I've had a guest come back 3 times. So he is about ready to join. And so what I did, I asked all the members if they want to give us, a speech. And I know we have 2 open speaking slots. So if nobody jumped and volunteered, I would say to the guest, in 2 weeks, would you like, we know you're not a member yet. Would you like to sample a giving an icebreaker speech? Because on the Toastmasters website, if you go under pathways, it's www.toastmasters.org/pathways-overview. And you scroll towards the bottom, there is going to be sample your first project. I know it's an online icebreaker. So what I do is we send them that link, tell them to go sample it. And then that way they can then give their icebreaker. And most of the time it works. It's just giving them that 4 to 6 minute speech and then they will join. I've seen that happen for us. And of course, it's goodwill as well. But as long as we're not imposing upon our members, and you're right, as long as we're not imposing on our members that want to work on their education, we do give, but we don't give a guest that has just been there their very first time and then say, oh, second time, your second visit is giving an icebreaker. We don't do that. We will wait to at least, if we see them come back 3 times at least, and then we know they're a little more serious. And of course, it depends because we don't have members that want to give a speech. So that's my experience. But I do see where Vidya's point is, where I told you about the one gentleman who just comes for table topics for like 2-3 months, but I already figured him out. So, but I would not give him an opportunity to give a speech. So wonderful. Right. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We've come to the end of our time for this particular session. I want to thank all of our panelists for being a part of this. Dom Kroger, Vidya Prasant, Sanda Zalecki, and Barb Schumacher. Thank you very much for being a part of this. Thank you to our guests for the wonderful questions that you had for us. I want to ask everyone to please join us next Friday, March 18th at 6:30 for the 3rd presentation of the Membership Buster series, Member Engagement and Retention, which will be presented by none other than Distinguished Toastmaster, past District Director, Jim Eng. The last presentation will be in 2 weeks, Friday, March 25th at 6:30 p.m. This presentation is Making Meeting Fun and Games, presented by Sathari, and I'm not going to try to pronounce the last name. Her club won the Club WOW for 2020-2021. Both of these are going to be wonderful sessions. I want to thank everybody who was here for this. Please have a wonderful evening. Good night.